The sunflower extravaganza is far from over. Hey there, and welcome to the Totally First Crochet channel. My name's Thomas, and in this little video I'm going to show you how you can make yourself such a cute and fun sunflower granny square phone bag. All you need are 4 granny squares that you can put together into such a beautiful phone bag. It's perfect for summer and it looks beyond cute. And of course, I'm using my super fabulous simple sunflower granny squares. So let's do this. Alright, so of course the most important part to make yourself a beautiful granny square phone bag are of course the granny squares. Without them, there is no granny square phone bag. And you need 4 granny squares overall. And if you don't know how to make the sunflower granny square, make sure to check out the full tutorial I made about how to make the simple sunflower granny square. And of course, if you are looking for a tutorial on how to make the perfect granny square with full symmetry, make sure to check my other video about how to make better granny squares, and then you get to know how to make them in such a beautiful way. There are always 2 parts. There's the lower part. In my case, this will be then the sunflower granny square. And there's the upper part with the 2 other granny squares. And the upper part is flapped over just to give it a bit of a more modern and fun look. There's no functionality behind the flap over. It's just a visual thing that I think looks quite pretty. And then of course there will be also the strap. So first I'm going to show you how to connect the granny squares together, and we are going to start with our main motif, our main visual with the sunflower. And usually you have like a good side and a bad side, or the front side and the back side of a granny square, and we are going to put both back sides over each other. The stitch count overall should be the same, so we can easily then connect. And what we do is that we are going to connect those 2 granny squares together on 3 sides, leaving the top side open, because here we are later on going to attach the flap over part, basically. So let's connect those 2. We are going to align them a bit like this. You take a bit of yarn, and I'm also going to use the darker blue just to give it a bit more color, and of course so you also see it better. And first off, we are going to start with a slip knot to start, and then place it on the hook. And now what we are going to do is that we are trying to indicate the second corner space that we had here. So for the corners here, I had 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2 of them are for the top side and 2 of them are for the side part of the granny square, and the same we find also here on the other one. And the way how to connect those 2 is to always work in the back loops. So you have to think about for this the other way around. And then we are going in the back loop here in our first granny square, and then go in the back loop on the other side, basically, so that you have both of the loops on your hook. You take the yarn behind your back or behind both of the granny squares. You grab the yarn I hope you can see it. And first pull it through the first loop, then pull it through the second loop, and then just make a slip stitch. And like that, you connected them. And once you made a few more of those connections, it also gets easier. Let's do another one. You go in the back loop of the granny square in front, and then in the next back loop of the granny square on top. Grab the yarn, pull it through the first one, pull it through the second one, and slip stitch to close it. One more in the back loop, and here in the next stitch from the top granny square, yarn over, pull through both of them and slip stitch. And you can see that we create a super pretty connection between the two granny squares, and we are going to do this all the way until we reach the end of our third panel, and this is where I'll meet you back. So here we are. Both granny squares are connected. Here's our little pouch now. Of course, if you want to have just a little pouch to put things in, here you go. And we can also cut the yarn. I know there are ways to connect the 4 granny squares in one go, but I feel like this is going to be a bit more complicated, and I don't want to scare everyone away by doing it in a tricky way. So we keep this on the side. Now we can take care of the upper granny squares, and those we are going to connect on 2 sides only. So the left side and the right side, and we again will put them together with the good sides basically on top, and everything else is pretty much the same. So I leave you to it, and I'll meet you once I have connected them like this. So this side and this side are connected, and it's open on top and on the bottom. So see you. Here we are. Both of them are now together, and they're open on both sides. And now to continue, we are going to connect those two together. And we do this by turning our top part, because later on when we flap it over, like this, I want the pretty side to be on the outside, of course. And we can then connect them together and try to get like the inner stitch, because now it's turned, so the inner stitches are right below here. If it gets a bit too tricky to get them, you can always take the front ones, but just try it. And here for the lower part, we can of course always use our back loops all along. So you go this way and then on the other side, and then you should have both of them connected, and it works exactly the same way. Grab a piece of yarn, slip stitch in it, and then take it on your hook and go into the first stitch. Where's my yarn? Here. And then we go in here in our very first loop. And then again, grab the yarn, pull it through one loop, pull it through the other loop, and slip stitch through it. And the next one, all in there, until you went all around, basically. And I'll meet you once you're at the end. Alright, so here's where we are. I can put my fingers through it, and now we can move the flap down just like this. It looks pretty. And now what we have to do is to take care of all the yarn ends that are here. There's quite a few of them, but don't be scared, because there's like a super easy way to get rid of them, because you will never wear this bag inside out. So we can absolutely put all those yarn ends to the inside of our bag. Until we go. Now they're all inside. And now we are going to turn our work just a little bit like this. And then what we do, some might call this super sloppy, but let's just knot them all together a few times. And we do the same thing with the other side. Now, if you want to, you can still always hide it somewhere. I don't know, maybe here in that seam, if you want to do so. Here's how I would do it. Just take a few of them and just hide them in our seam here. Just for a few stitches. I wouldn't bother about them too much, because anyway we knotted them together and no one will see the inside. And once you have them, just cut them. I'm going to leave a little bit up there. And cut it. And guess what? This was already it. Here's the bag. And now, since the flap is attached, it gives it a bit more stability. And here's basically the main part of the bag. And now our next thing is to make ourselves the strap that we are going to attach right somewhere in here. And this is what we do next. So for our strap, we are doing it in Tunisian crochet. I mentioned it before. The reason is very simple. It's easy to do. It's like going forward and going backward and doing this on repeat until you reach the size of your strap. And in the end, once you stretched it out a little bit, it rounds up and curls up to create such a beautiful crochet strap that works just perfectly with our granny square foam bag. And the way how to do it is that we are going to start with a foundation round, and we start with a slip knot, and then you always have your yarn end, leave it a little bit longer, and you have the yarn that goes to your yarn ball. And the way how to do the foundation round is that you take the end yarn and you yarn over from the front over your hook, and then you take the other yarn that goes to your yarn ball, yarn over from the back over your hook. Now you have 3 loops on the hook, and then you just pull that last loop through the other 2 loops on your hook. I'll show it again. You take your end yarn, yarn over from the front, take the yarn from the yarn ball, from the back over your hook, 3 loops on the hook, and just drag that last loop through the 2 loops on your hook. And we need a foundation round of 5 stitches. So this was number 3. Here's number 4. And here's number 5. You can leave the end yarn behind. We are going to use this later on to attach the strap to the back. And now we are going to turn our foundation stitches, and we leave this first loop completely as is, and we go into the next stitch right here, grab the yarn, pull it through, and now we have 2 loops on the hook. Then we go into the next stitch, the third one, grab the yarn, pull it through, 3 loops on the hook. Then we go into the 4th foundation stitch, grab the yarn, pull it through, and then we do it one more time with that last stitch right here. This is also usually going to be a bit tight, but I'm sure you can get it. So now you have the 5 loops. And now we do the return pass for Tunisian crochet, and this will be the same throughout the entire process of making the strap. So you yarn over and pull through just 1 loop. Then you yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over and pull through 2 loops, and then you're back at the beginning, and like that you also just made your first round of Tunisian crochet. And now what you can always think about is that the first loop right here, we basically don't do anything, we just keep it until we reach back to the beginning. And then you have vertical bars right in front. They're right here. And here's the next one. And here's the third one. Those are actually then the stitches that we are going to work in our next round, basically. And then you still have that end loop right here. And whenever we reach the end, we always go through both of those loops to place our last stitch in there. But you're going to see that in a second once I started the next round. So we can start with the next round. As I mentioned before, we leave this first loop completely as is. Then we go into that next front bar, yarn over, pull the yarn through, and pull everything up, 2 loops on your hook. Go into the next bar, yarn over, pull it through, pull it up, 3 loops, and in the third bar, yarn over, pull it through, and then we do the same thing with our border stitch here. Grab the yarn, pull it through, and now you have the 5 loops again, and then we can already do our return pass. And for that, you yarn over and pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And now you always see those vertical bars, and as long as you see 3 of them for the strap, you're all good. And it's also easy to memorize. I'll show you once more. So you go into that next front bar, yarn over, pull it through, pull everything up, then into the next bar, 3 loops, in the fourth, 4 loops, and then we go in our border stitch here, 2 loops on the hook, grab the yarn and pull it through, and you have the 5, and then we can go already back. So yarn over, pull through 1, and yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And this you make for as long as you want your strap to be. And once you have the size you need or the size you want, I'll meet you back to finish it, to show you how to finish it off, and to then also attach it to our phone bag and to also finish it up. See you then. So this shall do, in my case, with the strap. If you feel like you reached the size of your strap, and put it around your body to see if it's long enough, give it a very, very good stretch, because then the strap is going to twist itself to create this beautiful strap, which I love so much. And if you then still feel that it's a bit too long, or maybe also too short, when it's too short, of course, add a few more rounds if it's too long, and rather keep it a little bit shorter, because it will stretch in the end a little bit, but just a little bit. If you feel like it's still too long, take off a few rounds and finish it off after that, and it should be all fine, because you can't fix it once you placed it on, or once you connected it with the phone bag. So always be a bit careful with the size, and test it 3 or 4 times instead of just once, just to be sure. So now I'm going to show you how to finish it off. And to finish it off, you make a slip stitch first, then go into the next bar and do a slip stitch to close it. In the next bar, yarn over, pull the yarn through, and slip stitch, go in the next bar, yarn over, pull it through, slip stitch, and of course don't forget that last stitch on the side. Grab the yarn, pull it through, slip stitch, make another slip stitch, and then you can cut your yarn and pull the yarn through, and like that your beautiful strap is done. So now the only thing we have to do left is to attach the strap to our bag, And what you want to take care of is that the opening, like after it curled, is always on the inside like this, because then it's also easier to attach the strap on both sides. And I'm going to just wrap it around a little bit, make sure that I'm in the center. So here are 2 holes. So I'm going to attach the strap basically one cluster below that, right here. And you can always take those clusters as a reference on where you are. But I mean, of course, if you are probably more talented in sewing things together, you can attach the strap like you prefer it. I'm just doing my way, basically. And what I'm doing is that I will go, here's my strap, the end part of it, and I'm just going to weave it in. Until I reach that last stitch. Then I'm trying to drag on the yarn to tighten everything up. And then I'm just going back a few stitches, and I'm also going to make some knots here and there, because we don't want to lose our precious phones. And also going through some of the stitches. Just like that. And usually that should be it. We can cut the yarn. And we are good to go to connect the other side. And this is what I meant. Make sure that the open part is on the same side and that it's not twisted. Here we are. Again, I'm going to flip it over a little bit. Try to find that second cluster. And then I'm going to weave it in the exact same way. And here we go. The strap is connected. And your foam bag is done. And here's one final trick. When you feel like this one here is a bit too loose, I mean, usually for me, it doesn't bother me that much, but it might bother some of you. So what you can do is to grab a piece of yarn and then just go through the whole thing. Like this. don't pull the yarn through, and just go here on the other side and then take it back like this and make a knot in there, a double knot or triple knot, up to you. But this will definitely help to keep the strap up here. But again, that's absolutely optional. And then you just have to hide that last piece somewhere in here, which should be easy because there are already quite a few stitches to work that in. And then just cut it. And you can do the same thing on the other side if you want to. If not, that's alright. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed making this cute little granny square foam bag with me. And I hope to see you again next time, only at the Totally Fierce Crochet channel. Bye!